right, people, here we go. Let's go, Jared. We're turning on, buddy. Day 28. Here we go. Day 28. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Can you believe it's already day 28, people? I sure can't. Man, this thing's just flying by. It flew by. It seems like just the other day I had the idea to get your paper wet. Now it's all wet. Paper's clearly all wet, and that's fantastic. You know what I'm saying? So let's go. Day 28. Let's get this thing done. Day 30, and I already got the next challenge lined up. I'll tell you about it in a minute, okay? But first, check in with yourself, all right? Now, I'm trying to get through this quick because I know, damn it, I know James is going to get all over me, yelling at me, hey, Ray, make it shorter. Bruv, come on, make it shorter. You know, if he ever comes over from England, I'm really in trouble because I made some pretty long videos. You know what I'm saying, people? Anyway, check in with yourself. Take a breath. How you doing today? Glad you're here. Are you passionate? Is your fire stoked? Is that critical eye? You lock them down in the hole? You got your schedule set, okay? Check those three things. Make sure you're good. You got that impulse control on regulation. You got that down? All right, fantastic. Now, we did have a stream on Saturday, and it was fantastic. Great stream. Hey, I'm getting better every time, okay, people? I'm trying to level up each time we go so that it's more and more interesting. You know what I mean? I got some stiff competition out there. Stiff competition. I'm going to bring it to them, I tell you I am. So we had a little bit of failed audio, but that's okay. We're getting all those bugs wired out, you know, before I bring important people on. I don't know who them important people are, but when they come on, I don't want any bugs running around. You got me? Because we don't like that, okay? I'm also trying to put the chat on screen and also trying to put it so that we can have the cool chats pop up on the screen or however they do that. You know what I mean? Hell, this time last year, I didn't know nothing about audio or video. And now I'm a marginal expert, you know, marginal. Not great, but marginal, okay? And that's all right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Now, I did mention that we're going to have another challenge coming right up, okay? And this was, I'm really excited about this one, you know? I'm super pumped about this one. I'm thinking this one's going to be, now, here's what I'm going to say. There's this thing that people do. It's like when they're learning art and they're going to art school or whatever, and it's a 100-head challenge. So their challenge is one of their homeworks is to do 100 heads. You know, normally they do that like in a semester or whatever. And we're going to do that, though, in a month. That's a 100-head challenge in a month. Now, at first I thought maybe we do a 300-head challenge. But then I did the math on that, and I realized you'd have to, you know, do a head every 3 minutes because we're only doing 30 minutes a day or something like that. You know what I mean? But then I thought, hey, that could be okay. We could do some, like, timed heads. You know, maybe, like, you only do it for 60 seconds. And then you do a couple for 2 minutes, and then one for, you know, 5 minutes or something like that, you know. So we'll work it in there. We'll have cool themes, you know. We're going to have, like, maybe an insect head day, and then we're going to have a day where it's, like, maybe cartoon heads and Hanna-Barbera or Looney Tunes or whatever. And then maybe we'll have a day where we have the heads and around a theme of a conversation. And we have to draw all the heads and have them having a conversation, you know, so the head, something like that. That'll be a lot of fun. Now, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to do it in the form of markers, okay? So if you get your markers out, you know. Now, I got some of these the other day, tip from my cameraman. These are Japanese brush pens. We're definitely going to use some of that. Zebra Japanese brush pens. I'll put the link down if you want to get them. I think they were like $7 for 4 of them or something like that, and they're fantastic. I'm really excited to use them. But say you don't want to spend no money, right? Say you're like, Ray, I'm pissed broke, bro. I really love artwork. I'm trying to climb up out the mud, but I'm pissed broke. What you got for me? Hey, well, go take a Sharpie. You know, get a highlighter. Go to your local library, and I don't condone borrowing it for a long period of time. Some people might call that stealing. But borrow it from a long period of time. Come on now. These two right here, they'll get the job done. We're going to be excited about it. I've done many sketches like this with just these two, and they turned out fantastic, all right? So what is that, like, you know, 60 cents right there? You got that. Scrounge that up. You know what I mean? Go ahead and dig deep in your couch or whatever. We also got the Posca pens. You know, these acrylic pens. We're going to use those. Those are going to be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? And, of course, I got, you know, the alcohol markers, which are these. It's not iPad. They ain't iPad brand, people. I'm just showing off. I throw it in an iPad box. But they're the Dick Blick just alcohol markers. You know, I had laying around. And I'm going to pull on some other markers. You know what I mean? Just to make it fun. Just to make it interesting and different. And that's what it's all about. So I'm going to go ahead and put these over there because I'm excited about those. All right. So that's what we're going to do in the next month. You know, I don't figure out what kind of clever little name, you know, get some head or something like that. Something, you know, double entendre, because we got to keep it spicy around here, people. This boring shit has got to go. We got to keep it spicy. We like the T and A, okay? We like all that business going on under the current, kind of, ha ha. We like that, you know? All right. So that's what we're going to do on that. All right. Now, the other thing, too, is I'm already making up the next sticker pack. Love them stickers. There's a big hit. Everybody loves them. I send out over 150 sticker packs. You know what I mean? And it was a lot of fun for me because I love to see people post them and then I repost them. And it does my heart joy. Some people got them on their birthday. Some people said, hey, I had a terrible day and they made my day. And some people said, really loved them. I'm going to stick them on my guitar. And, you know, one of the best stickers was that one with the lips with the Ray Ray Happy Pill. And I really loved that. And that was actually Presby Bro's idea. And he gave me the idea for that. And I just ran with it. And I wanted to have that little iconic Rolling Stone lips kind of thing and do a little riff on that and put the pill right in the mouth kind of thing. And do the metallic lipstick. I thought that was fantastic. And so if you have any ideas for really cool stickers or have a cool sticker idea, shoot it my way, man. Definitely give you a shout out and be like, bro, this is fire and whatnot. And that's a lot of fun. I'll make it into a design. We'll go ahead and get a couple hundred made. We'll send them out to all the people and everybody will be like, yo, this is fire. And that's what we're trying to do around here. We're trying to spread that fire, okay? So I think that's all the announcements we got. That's some pretty good announcements. Let me take a little sip of the old coffee real quick. We got Jared right there doing a little flip going on. We love that. All right. Let's go, Jared. Trying to encourage you in the Olympics, buddy. Make it happen. All right. Now, I wanted to talk about something really quickly because I know we got a long video. This could be a long video. I got a demo coming after this, okay? So we got this weekend. I had a good time. I went down and I met up with my buddy, Sean. And I talked to Sean a little bit, and Sean just made a life-changing leap. He just decided he didn't want how his life was anymore, and he'd had enough of it, and he made a leap. And he leapt into a new career. And he's grappling with the understanding and the decisions that he's making in that new career, but he's using his creativity to fuel his ascent through it. And he's making quite a bit of headway. I'm really excited and proud to see what he's doing. And he's making it happen for himself. And he's using his own noggin, his own creativity to put 2 and 2 together and try to come up with 12. You know what I'm saying? Not 4. We all know 2 plus 2 is 4. But if you can make 2 plus 2 equal 12, well then, hey, you got something right there, right? And then, you know, you got 8 something extras, right? And that's what we're about. Do more with less. Amplify what you're doing. Create a situation where you can elevate your lifestyle through increased resources. The increased resources doesn't come from the fact that you plant one seed. It comes from the fact that you use your creativity to scale that one seed out into 100 seeds. Then those 100 seeds go into 1,000 seeds. And those 1,000 seeds go into 10,000 seeds. That's what we're talking about. That's how you move your life, people. That's how you make it happen. And that's what Sean's doing for himself. Now, we talked about a lot of the situations that he's having and problems that he's coming up against, but, you know, his enthusiasm and his passion and his genuine desire are going to override all those. You know, he might not know the path that he's going to take, but as he goes, the solutions will present themselves and he'll have the opportunity to take ownership over those solutions. Because ain't nobody spoon-fed this guy. You know what I mean? He's going to go ahead and he's going to take the bull by the horns. He's going to grab the reins, so to speak. I'm throwing a lot of metaphors at you today. It's Monday. We're getting our money's worth today, people. And he's going to own the success that comes his way. He's not going to owe it to nobody. He's going to own it. And that's what it's all about. That's what I mean when I say use the creativity that's inside of you to tap into something and take the standard inputs and make them special outputs so they scale. And so I just wanted to pass that along. And, you know, he's not an artist or anything like that in the common sense of the term that he does drawing or painting, but he is an artist in the sense that he's an artist in the chosen career field that he's going into and what he's trying to do. And he's an artist with his life, and he's making it possible for him, and he's not doing a cookie cutter situation, and he's not waiting in line, he's not following the sheep off the hill or off the cliff like a lemming or whatever, but he's going to jump off the cliff and he's going to fly. And then all them other sheep that are falling down are going to be like, ah, how'd he do that? Ah, how'd he do that? You know, and that's what's going to be special. And the real special thing is that each one of us could do it. It's just the question of it is, when is enough for us? When have you got to the breaking point where you say, I'm going to challenge my life. I'm going to challenge the social norms that are being pushed upon me. I'm going to challenge the contract, the social contract that I didn't even know I signed up for, that somebody else is making interest off of my ass. When is that going to be for you? And that's my question to you. I know when it happened to me. It happened to me on this windy road down in Costa Rica in the middle of the jungle. That's when it happened for me. I was on a surf trip down there. Now, I'll tell you that story later, because I got to get through this demo we got coming up right now. And I know James is going to be on my ass about it. But I tell you what, it's a really good story about how my life got changed, how it got rocked down in the middle of the jungle on Malpais, on a little isthmus out there in Costa Rica, in the middle of the fucking jungle. No, I wasn't trying to run kilos of cocaine, and no, I wasn't trying to smuggle immigrants up into America. I was on a surf trip, and I met with a fate that was extremely painful at the time, and it changed my life. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get on this demonstration real quick so we can get out of here. And I'll tell you that story later some other time. Don't worry, I won't forget. Remind me, okay? But here we go. We down here. We on camera 2 now. We looking at our boy where we left him on Friday, okay? And he's looking real good. I'd say we're about halfway through this fella. Now, it's quite possible that we might have to go a little bit further, all right, tomorrow. Stretch it out. But that's okay, because we're on day 28 right now. That means day 29 is tomorrow, and we'll finish this guy up perhaps. And then maybe day 30 we'll do something really special. Okay, I got an idea for what we can do on day 30 that's really special and really close to my heart with the medium of watercolor. Okay, now grab your spray bottle and wake your watercolors up. Okay, now we got to wake them up. Wake them up. They sleeping. They taking a break. You know, they don't work sometimes, and so they're union. They like their breaks. You know what I'm saying, people? Now, one of the ideas that you have to consider when you're doing a illustration is that the rate of execution of an illustration slows as you get towards the end of the illustration. Now, what do I mean by that? Ray, what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean is, like, the illustration progresses really quickly at the very beginning because you're putting in the lines, you're moving things around, you're in simplified shapes, and it looks like every time you make a change, it makes a huge impact upon the illustration that you're doing, okay? But as you move forward and that illustration becomes more concrete and you start to refine it more, you start to render it more, the progress becomes, you know, significantly, if not exponentially, slower, because you're working on this little things, you're balancing little things, and the big work has already been done. However, the middle stage, which we have just completed, is where you connect the beginning and the end, and it's really the magic when everything starts to happen. Now we're going to move further along on that middle towards end goal, and we're going to refine the most important parts, and then we're going to balance this concept of abstraction. The balance of abstraction and detail is so crucial, people, in the use of illustration. It's completely crucial, and it's, I fear this. It was something that the old illustrators mastered and knew fantastic, that when you look with your natural eye, and I say I'm looking over at whatever, things that are closer to my eye are more rendered and more defined, and as they move away, they're more abstract, which means they're simplified shape, simplified value, and simplified hue or color. Now, when I look at contemporary illustrations, they've lost the idea of that. And why is that? I've asked myself, and then the answer presents itself. The answer is because most illustrators are illustrating on a computer. And so what they're doing is they're illustrating on the computer and they're zooming in. They're zooming in into all these areas in order to illustrate it. And so they apply the same amount of detail in all areas uniformly to the detriment of the illustration. Okay? Now, just like we optimize and create a hierarchy of tone, and we create a hierarchy of saturation, we create a hierarchy of shape, like we're starting to move into the philosophical area, we need to create a hierarchy of detail to abstraction. Okay? So in the we'll come down here to camera 2, we're going to look in the foreground, we need detail. Okay, people? In the midground, we need a transition towards abstraction, and then in the background we need abstraction. Okay? And that is really where the artist shows his chops, or her chops, so to speak. Now let's wake up our brushes and let's get after it, okay? Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to start in the foreground and we're going to start working towards the background. The reason being that background's already in abstraction, okay? So we don't have to really add detail. We can balance that detail in the background once we know how detailed we're going to be in the foreground, okay? So what I'm going to do now, right at first, is I'm going to come in. Well, first of all, look at this mess. I got a mess right here. Look at that mess. Now it's a beautiful mess, but it's a desaturated color palette because I have blacks and grays running all through it. We got to get rid of that color palette if we're going to work in the foreground. So I just take and dip my toilet paper. You know, we're just real professional over here with our toilet paper, aren't we? Run that all through, clean that up, dry it out, come in here and clean that up. Now, you should clean your palette if you're working in your foreground or your midground or your background, okay? You can go ahead and dirty it up by adding grays if you're going to work towards your background, but once you come back to your foreground, clean that palette up so you get the nice clean colors, okay, people? Now, I'm going to grab my big brush, and what I want to do is I want to establish a shadow value for Super Killer right here. Now, how many of y'all got the Super Killer comic book, okay? How about that? Vito finally delivered. W for Vito. Now, I will say this, though. What the hell, man? I thought it was going to be colored, and I thought it was going to be a physical copy. After 2 years, I would have expected that. $137,000? Come on now. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come down and I'm going to eyeball and estimate where I think the shadows are, okay? So I think the shadows are going to be right like so. Now, we can always go with a super saturated version of this initially, because with watercolor, one of the characteristics is we can come in and desaturate it anytime we want with a gray and make that happen, okay? Which is quite nice, all right? Now, I'm trying to keep this layer simplified because we can come back and refine it later, all right, people? Now, look what I'm doing here. How's that working? Can you all see that okay? Fantastic. You guys can see that great. And this is just going to go ahead and, you know, punch this layer out. Now, I'm not going to be super worried if I get all my, you know, guesses correct with the shadow, if it doesn't have the correct rim light. You know, this is a demo, okay, people? It's not like I'm going to slave over it and then make you watch me slave over it. That'd be fucking ridiculous, okay? You don't need to know all the tedious components of it because you'll figure that out as you go along. You just need the general philosophical thought process, and that's what I'm trying to give you here. All right? Let me move this down a little bit. There we go. And so then there we go. So I'm looking around trying to see if we got that shadow portion laid in okay. And it looks like we do. Okay? Now, we'd already laid in the blacks, but guess what? We can come back into the black. I'm going to take a strong cobalt blue, like so, and I'm going to go into the black and establish more of a mid-tone in the black. We're going to break the black. See, there's 3 tones in there. There's the black, which is the dark value. There's the blue, which is the mid value, and then there's this lighter blue, which is the light value. Well, I want to shove these mid values more towards the dark black value so it pops those light values out even better. Make it a higher contrast. I'm going for the increase in contrast here. And I'm using cobalt. It's a straight cobalt blue to do it. It's really simple. It's a lot simpler than you might think it is, okay? Now I'm going to leave some of those white light blues in there to kind of pop out, because later I'm going to take a turquoise and I'm going to come back in and augment those light blue shapes with a really saturated turquoise to really give it a really fun, vibrant feel. Okay, when you look at it with your eyes, that's what you want. You want the people to feel what you're trying to communicate to them, right? You want it to be like that. Let me get that up so you guys can see it. I'm notorious for using my magic brush out of camera frame and then not telling you about it, right? I use a magic brush in here, so you guys don't even know, okay? So that's kind of how we got that right there. And then we continue this on. Now I'm just using the same color, you know, and I'm going over it. And I'm leaving some of the other underlying layer peeking through. So I'm adding another layer on top of this. We're balancing it up. I'm looking at his belt and I'm saying, you know, his belt's going to be in shadow. So what kind of shadow is white? Well, the shadow on white's going to be blue, okay? Maybe even a little bit of a desaturated blue. So we'll grab some of this Corellian blue, maybe have a little bit of a black mixed in it, just a tad. So go ahead and make it a desaturated blue. I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. We'll leave the front part of the holster right there light. We can always come back in later and kind of desaturate it, or put some other color in it to make a darker value, and we'll just continue right here. Now we're not worried about creating a two-tone shadow necessarily within the blues right now. We're going to let that dry and we're going to come back and revisit that later. Now we'll go up here and we'll guess that this guy's also in shadow, like so. Now see the saturation of the blue right there, while it's the same value as the background or the midground right there, allows it to pop out. You see how that works right there? We have the same value on the channel. The values are equal, but the saturation is different, right? This is a lot more saturated than this, so that's why it pops out. So that's what I'm trying to communicate to you as the viewer, is that when you can control each layer with the channels, you can control it and make it distinct via the saturation, via the hue, via the value, or via the shape, okay? And just based upon what you want as the artist, okay? Now look at these values. They're already starting to dry lighter. See this dark shadow I put in there? It's already drying lighter. So that tells me I need to come back in and I need to make it darker, okay? So we're gonna add a little bit of orange. This is what I got right here. A little bit of orange, maybe even a little bit of blue, just to kind of darken and desaturate that orange just a little bit. And we're just going to come in here and we're going to put it on top. You know, we might even let some of that other orange that is dried peek through a little bit, just to add a little bit of variability. Because remember what I said, the variability is the spice, or the variance is the spice of life, and you really want that variance in there. You really do. So that it's not one unifying tone or value or color even that is boring to look at. You want it to vary. And every once in a while you have some of your hairs from your brush just pop off, but don't worry about it. That's what's going on right now. For me, I got some of the hairs popping off of my brush, kind of trying to get in there and make it harder for me. But you know, sometimes it makes a nice different kind of brush stroke or variance, you know. So don't panic if that happens to you. Just, you know, stay calm and carry on, as they say over there in England. Shout out to James. Except for when he gives me trouble about how long my videos are. I know this is going to be a long one too. Now, I'm already looking at this and I'm anticipating some problematic areas. Some of the problematic areas. I don't mean problematic as in, oh shit, we fucked up. I mean more problematic as in, it's going to be hard to read from a viewer's point of view. Is this hand that's mixing into the abdomen area of Superkiller. But we'll make a note of that, and we'll come back later and fix it by adding a different tone or a different saturation, or making it a different value. We'll decide later when we're trying to balance the entirety of the picture. Now what I want to do is I want to come up in this area right here, and I want to warm it up a little bit, and at the same time darken the value slightly. Because remember, things that come closer become darker, and they also become warmer. So I'm going to grab a little bit of orange, a little bit of blue, and I'm going to saturate it with that maybe it should be yellow. Maybe that orange is a little bit too strong. And so I just put that down right there, and I'm thinking maybe that orange is too strong. Maybe it's going to conflict too much with the colors of him as a character. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this blue-green, wipe it in there, and then come back. Yeah, that's better. It's cooler, a little bit cooler, desaturated. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to allow the texture of the dry brush watercolor to create even more texture. So we're laying texture on top of texture. And then I'm going to avoid painting some of these rubble on the floor and let it just kind of pop out due to its value. It's light, it's going to be a lighter value. And then what we can do is come in later and resaturate it with a different color. So we're going to put a nice saturated color on top of it. Okay? Now if this is too warm after it dries, we can always desaturate it with a cool color on top. And we might do that. But we're looking for a balance as we go. I don't have all the answers because the painting's not completed yet. So as we go, we're constantly balancing. Okay, we're constantly asking ourselves the question, is this balanced? Is this value too dark? Is this too light? What's going on here? What's going on there? And then we're looking at the picture as a whole and we're rebalancing it, okay? Now I want to cool off this back area a little bit, so I'm going to darken it just a tad. Cool it down with a blue-green, and then maybe a little bit more blue into that orange wash we just used. That's a little bit too cool. We need it to be more transitionary, so I just add a little bit of orange to it. Make a little bit of transitionary as we move and walk back to the cool colors. Make it cooler as we go. Now this is a gradient that I'm applying on top of this watercolor wash or this layer, and I'm just adding it. There we go. There we go. Like so. Look, checking my time. We're doing good on time. We're right at 27 minutes. Got the timer back up and working, James. Don't worry about that. Here we go. We got this like so. Okay. Now I might even come in here and add some of this coolness up in the foreground just to give it some variance. Now I don't want it to be too much water, so I'm going to dab some of it off. And I'm just kind of telling you guys what my thought process is as I go along with this picture, okay? So you can try to mirror my thought process and ask yourself questions when you're doing it, okay? Now I do have a step up right here that I kind of like. So I want to add the Corellian blue, and I want to put that in shadow so it stands out, okay? And fortunately for me, the lines of the India ink are going to hold any water I put in there in place, any watercolor in place. So I like that, okay? And we're going to just do something like that. Now see how nicely, I don't know if you can see it very well, there we go, how nicely that muted color draws the eye up to Superkiller. That's what we want. We want to have everything in the painting to have a primary route of interest and then secondary routes and third area of routes of interest. So we're also optimizing for eye path. The eye path is the concept of where the eye travels through the picture. Okay? Now I'm looking at that apple and I'm saying, hey, can we also make the saturation on that apple even more? And I'm saying yes we can. So I'm taking straight red and I'm just going to do a little touch here. I'm taking a very strong red, do a little touch there. That kind of is going to pop out the value of that apple even more. See how the apple is? And I want to take a blue and I just want to lay it softly. I'm adding water that softens it up over the back of this apple like so, and over this part of the apple like so. And that's going to darken the value. That's going to give a stronger saturated color contrast with the blue to the purple and to the red. And I'm looking at that stem on the apple and I'm like, that needs to be brown. And I do like a good brown. It acts as a support structure and it pulls the eye on the path of the stem into Superkiller's head. So I want you to look at Superkiller. I'm liking how that looks. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking at the green arrow and I'm saying, okay, now we got to make green arrow green. But he's going to be a blue-green, okay, people? So we're going to go over, we're going to grab a blue-green. I got this blue-green right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and take a little bit of turquoise, a little bit of Corellian blue maybe. kind of mix it in there, like so. I can always come back in and add a nice yellow over the top of this to increase its green nature. Okay, I'm gonna do it like so. So we're darkening, or we're darkening the value as we go along. Now I'm not gonna pay too much attention to how his costume is. If I was doing this not as a demo, I'd probably pay more attention to it, but I'm just gonna relax a little bit and try to remember what his costume looked like instead of looking at an image to get it just right. And of course I did put sneakers on him, so I do like that. Now I don't know what kind of sneakers. I know that yellow arrow, I mean green arrow is always green, but you know what would be cool if he had some yellow sneakers at the bottom. Maybe he does have yellow sneakers. So I'm gonna put a saturated yellow down here, like this. You know, maybe he's styling and profiling in 2025, and he's got them nice yellow sneakers on. Again, we'll come back and probably add a little bit more complexity to the sneakers themselves. Now maybe he likes his hat a little bit blue-green too, so we'll put a little bit of that in there. And maybe he's matching that with his quiver for his arrows, so we'll have to put that in there. See, so now we just got him looking all good like that. See that right there? He looks all good. Alright, now I'm looking at the sky back there in the background, and I'm thinking it needs to be reduced in contrast. The contrast of the sky is fighting a little bit too much with the contrast of the foreground. These whites need to be taken down a tab, so we're going to go ahead and get a blue. We're going to add a little bit of black to it. Water it down a lot. We're going to water this down a tremendous amount. And we're just going to come in here and we're just going to kind of go over it and try to darken it up and cool it off a little bit. Probably cool off some of those oranges too, so they don't fight too much with the foreground. Okay? Don't want them to fight too much with the foreground. We want everything to be optimized, arranged in order, no resistance, no visual friction. We want it to be as smooth as butter so that when people look at it, it generates an emotion. If there's friction in the visuals, it will not generate an emotion, people. It will not. You can try to reason with it. You can try to tell people that they don't get it intellectually and they should really feel this way or that way. But fuck all that. That's not real, okay? If you don't look at it and it doesn't generate an emotion, you done messed up and you got to fix something, okay? See how we did that? Now we got the values are starting to fight right here because I'm losing how that building looks. So I need to cool him down, and I need to maybe add a little bit more orange, a little bit more blue, and I need to darken his value, increase his value. Okay, so we're going to do that because we just increased, we just made the clouds darker. So now we need to make the building darker. So the building pops out, okay? But it's got to be cool still because it's in the background. See how that works, people? So I'm going to add the blue to that, so maybe a little bit of orange because it's orange light back there. And that's where we're at, okay? Now we're coming right up on 33 minutes, and this is where we're at, okay? How's that look? It's starting to really look good, isn't it? Okay, as you can see. Now we'll go ahead and leave it there. We'll do the final finish up tomorrow. And if it stretches, maybe we'll do the final finish up over the next 2 days because we really want to make a banger. We really want to make this a really cool variant cover for Johnny Rocket because Johnny Rocket's our man, you know what I'm saying? And we want to make him look fantastic. And you want to make everybody that you're going to do a commission for look fantastic. And when you give them your commission that they wanted you to make, you want them to be gobsmacked and be like, wow, this is fantastic, this is beyond what I thought. That's an artist's job. An artist's job is to deliver visually further than the person who commissioned you thought possible. They bring you a visual idea, you take it, you put it through your little percolator, you know, coffee machine up in your brain, and then you spit out something that's so nice and so much further than what they thought possible in their own brain, because, you know, they're not an artist, that they say, you're my guy now. You're my guy. Every time I have a visual, I'm coming to you because you not only delivered, but you delivered beyond expectation. All right? So be passionate, be excited, get out there and deliver beyond expectation. Let's go, people. Come on now.